Why, hi there, I'm Ron Juckett, and it's time for a very happy recap. It's the Washington Nationals on this 15th day of August have beaten the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 3-1, following a wonderful performance by Howie Kendrick, who hit 2 home runs, his 101st of his career. In fact, over a 4 at-bat stretch, he hit 3 home runs from the grand slam to end the nightcap on Sunday to the first 2 at-bats, the first 2 of his 3 at-bats today. And Gio Gonzalez took a no-hitter into the 6th inning before allowing 2 hits through 6 shutout innings. Did a wonderful job. He can put base runners on, but he can get them right out, too. And it wasn't quite the full law from tonight as Ryan Madson continues to heal from a blister. But it was Matt Albers getting a cameo appearance in the law firm along with Brandon Kinsler and then Sean Doolittle to get the 9th inning, and it ended up being an easy win. Imagine that. I saw a tweet today before I go to the totals and all that since the trade from Madsen and Doolittle, that the Nats bullpen ERA is 8th as opposed to 28th, which is what it was most of the year. That's not for the whole year, of course, but since the trade, just you don't worry about things anymore. Well, at least when it comes to that. How if I had that window open first? So let's give you some totals, shall we? As soon as it warms up. Okay. 1 run on 3 hits and an error for the Angels. The Cliff Pennington home run was the only run they had today. That was off of Kinsler. Put that one in the batter's eye. The Angels go to 61-59, and that matters because of this wild card race in the American League. The Nats go to 71-46, 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors. Gio Gonzalez goes to 11-5 on the year. Helps if I look at the camera. Tyler Skaggs goes to 1-3. Old-fashioned curveball pitcher Ben Epping is a rainbow, and Sean Doolittle, he did it again. He picks up his 12th save. Howie Kendrick, the offensive star, 2 for 4, 2 RBI and 2 home runs. He's hitting .351 this year. Imagine that. Daniel Murphy goes 2 for 4, and Anthony Rendon 3 for 4. He's now hitting .303 on the year. Brian Goodwin, by the way, was not dressed tonight. Pedro Severino was recalled from Syracuse, and A.J. Cole was demoted. Don't know if this means that Goodwin will go on the disabled list, but they want to give him a couple days to see how his groin does. So imagine that. Here's one for you. The Nats, of course, won 3-1, but they went 0 for 9 tonight in runners in scoring position. They stranded 7. Just shows you how good the Nats pitching is. Murphy with his 36th double, Rendon with his 27th, and Kendrick with the 2 home runs. 1 in the 3rd and 1 in the 5th, so a 2nd and 3rd times up. Let's go to the chat real quick. Two Kabooms Seth says, for Howie, my new favorite player. Isn't he remarkable? He really is just remarkable and is so happy doing it. He's like watching Brian Goodwin play, guys. He's just so happy doing it. Hi, Judo. Yep, the Red Sox had triple play today. That happens when Yadier Molina can't run anymore. And you know the more amazing thing about that, I wasn't supposed to talk about, actually it was because they're playing the Cardinals, was that they actually intentionally walked Rafael Devers. Won't be the last time they do that either. Let's see, what else? Giancarlo Stanton has 18 homers since the All-Star break. Yep. 4th player with 11 home runs the first 15 days of a calendar month from Elias Sports says. And back to this one. Game time of 2.5 hours. How about that for pace of play? You know what? He didn't even throw a lot of strikes, but lots of ground balls, lots of contact. That'll do it. That'll do it. All right. Gio, 6 innings, 2 hits. He walked 3, no runs. Walked 3 and struck out 4. His ERA overall this year is 2.49. At home, it's 1.79. It's the best home ERA in the majors. Over 75 in the 3rd innings at home. Just absolutely dominant. Matt Albers, an inning. Nothing else. Brandon Kinsler, the home run, but he struck out 2 in his inning. And Sean Doolittle with 1 strikeout. And that's it over his innings. 91 pitches for Gio and an underwhelming 49 strikes, but he made contact and got people out. Albert Pujols was the only double play, but it just happened to work. You don't ask why it works. It works. Matt Albers retired the side on 8 pitches, and only 4 of those were strikes. Kinsler, 16 pitches for 11 strikes, and Doolittle, 11 pitches for 9 strikes. That's just impressive stuff. You got to love what they're doing right now. Madsen, as I said a couple minutes ago, has had a blister, I think, between games on Sunday, and they just didn't want to risk it. Of course, tomorrow it's a short turnaround. It's a 1:05 game tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be with you for that as well afterwards for the post-game show. No reason to risk it. Albers did his job, and you save the other 2 if you need it for a safe situation. Let's see. Judo says there are some snacking personalities in the club, from Duda to Rendon to Murphy, even Bryce, despite his reputation. Seth asked, do I think Gio is legit side contender? You know what? He probably should be. I don't think he'll draw any first-place votes because Kershaw will come back, and, of course, Scherzer's just had, he's having the best year of his entire career. But, no, I think if it wasn't for Scherzer, I think Gio would for sure, Seth. He's just incredible. I really think he ended up being, should have been an all-star. Judo says, Worth and Scherzer are the 2 veterans who've been so valuable to the organization. Seth says, Nationals bullpen actually makes closing games look easy. That was unimaginable 6 weeks ago. You know what, Seth? You called this. I give you full credit on that one, buddy. You called it, saying that to have some hope. And they went out and made, another under-the-radar deal. You look at the deals that Rizzo made in July. He got Howie Kendrick for a prospect. He picked up, and look how that one's done. And you look at the Doolittle and Madsen deals and the Kinsler deal. And the only major leaguer they gave up was Blake Trinan. And there was no one in the top 10 of the Nats prospects that left. So they held on to everyone they wanted to hold on to. And look how much better this team is just with those small little deals. As you see that Giancarlo Stanton has cleared waivers and that the Nats might have been scouting for Curtis Granderson, that's not the deals the Nats are going to make. If they're going to make any deals this month, they're going to be for little bits and pieces that work. Let's see. Seth says, this is crazy to me. The Nats are 25 over 500. We're still not healthy. Mind blown. Yeah. There's still 10 people on the disabled list on this team, including the best player in the National League, Bryce Harper. And Judo says, you were right, Seth. Me and Ron eat our words. Snacking was supposed to be amazing. Autocorrect. See, that's what you get for doing this on your phone, Judo. Ricky says, surprisingly, the Nats are only 14-10 when Gio pitches. Well, that, I think, goes along with the fact of just how bad the bullpen was in the first half. Because there really hasn't been a game that I've went and – there was a tweet that Mark Zuckerman had out tonight. Gio has not failed to go 6, I believe, in any of his 24 starts this year. He has 20 quality starts. Quality start is 3 earned runs over 6 innings. He's done that. You can't even say that about Max Scherzer, which is just stunning. Seth says, thanks, Ron. I had a feeling and you laughed at me. I said, Seth, I'm sorry. And thanks, guys. I'm better than Ken Rosenthal. I should go to Vegas. I wouldn't go that far. Ken's pretty good. They're talking about run support on the board, and Ricky says, actually, I thought the same about Max and Gio having bad run support, but both of them have 5 runs of support heading into tonight. Because I made the joke with Ricky off air on Facebook that everyone should just put Ross and 59 in their back, and they'd score 10. Wow, it's the first time that Ricky says it's the first time that Gio hasn't gone 100 pitches since May. Went 91 tonight and looked kind of shaky at times. A lot of 3-ball counts, but he did the job. He got the 1 double play and he induced contact. He did strike out 4, and all 4 of those guys were looking. His curve is pretty good. Tyler Skaggs had a pretty good curveball tonight too. So, all in all, this is what you wanted. 2 out of 3 over that weird weekend against the Giants, and you take the opener tonight. Seth says, the only thing I got wrong was Tanner as the closer. No, Tanner was never going to be the closer, but he's pitched well as of late. They just can't take any more injuries. Speaking of that, we weren't with you last night, but I listened to Steven Strasburg's 5 innings for Potomac, and Salem played the Salem Red Sox, and Salem just chased everything. He only had pitched 66 pitches through 5 innings. He had to finish in the bullpen. Used his full arsenal of stuff. Slider sounded good. New tongue. Slider sounded good. Curve was sharp. Fastball at 95 at one point. So good stuff for them. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, see, I can see myself. Who was the pitcher that was trying to imitate Craig Kimbrell? Judo asked before I go to the scoreboard. The arm dangle thing works. That was Paredes for the Angels. That's the one, if you were listening on the radio, that supposedly is only 170 pounds. It's like saying I'm 110. No, that certainly wasn't the case. But you're right. The dangle thing, Kimbrell does the whole vulture thing very well. And it does. It gets him a couple more miles an hour on it. Probably because, his arm is relaxed before he delivers. I wonder if that has something to do with that. Drew would know that, but he's enjoying life before he goes off to be an adult. So he was at the stadium. All right, I did scroll it back up. We have a whole mess of scores tonight. Let's start in New York. It's a Subway Series. We wouldn't necessarily talk about the Yankees. Sonny Gray, by the way, made his Yankees debut tonight and threw, I believe, 6 good innings. The Yanks lead the Mets 5-2 in the bottom of the 8th. The Yanks have 2 runners on. Miami trails San Francisco, by the way, 7-4, bottom of the 8th. Giancarlo Stanton, though, 44 home runs this year. Did it again. He's homered 6 straight games. I believe the record is either 10 or 11, and it's owned by one Mr. Don Mattingly. Dale Long for the Pirates, I believe, had an 8 or 9 game streak back in the 50s, too. Red Sox lead the Cardinals 10-4. The reason why, there's a couple of reasons why I mentioned that. We told you about the triple play, and Devers drawing the intentional walk, but the Cardinals can't be losing these games as they fight for the National League wild card. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. Milwaukee 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th. Cubs and Reds are scoreless in the top of the 7th. Braves and Rockies are tied at 2. That's definitely not scoreless. In the bottom of the 4th, Baltimore is on the coast versus Seattle. Phillies are on the coast against San Diego. Houston beat Arizona 9-4 today. And this is the only other final. You wouldn't think that Mattingly would hold that record, but he does. Yeah, I think it was 87. I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning, but I remember that. Offensively, as I said, it's amazing that they can win these games when you go 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. I just found that I didn't realize that. I knew they weren't doing well with runners on, but to go 0 for in risky situations and still win, that's a credit to them. And I thought Tyler Skaggs pitched decent. It wasn't like the Angels were sitting there getting hammered. We talked a little bit about last night's Potomac game. Let's go through the minor league scores for you. Syracuse wins. They go to 46-76. They beat the Durham Bulls 5-4. Long with the win. He's 4-4 with a 3.84 ERA. Wander Suero with his 9th save, and Brandon Snyder hit his 16th home run of the year for the Chiefs. Harrisburg beats Richmond 4-3. They go to 51-69. Tim Collins with a win. 1-1 with a very high ERA. Backus with a save. Bacus. For Harrisburg, Potomac beat Salem 5-1 tonight. In fact, Joan Baez, the singer turned pitcher, no, not really, two-hitter tonight for Potomac. Were they allowed 2 hits? Betts with the homer for Salem in the second. Helps if I hit the right button here. Can't imagine Baez went the distance. Went 6, 2 hits, 6 innings, a run. It was earned, 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. Mariano Rivera went 2 innings with a walk and a strikeout, and Jordan Mills closed it out in the 9th. Does not get credit for the save. Still an impressive job when you only give up 2 hits. Hickory beat Hagerstown tonight 9-4. Hill takes the loss, goes to 0-1 with a 6.43 ERA. Knoll with the 16th homer for Hagerstown. The Dominican Nats beat the Dominican Twins 5-4. Perez gets his first win, 1-5. Ramirez with the save is first. Twins made 5 errors in that game. And that be it. Let's see, what else? Okay, so they're talking about Aaron Judge and his striking out in 30 straight games. And all that. I won't get into the rest of those arguments. So all in all, a very good night for the Nats. They turn right around and play tomorrow afternoon at 1:05. I believe it's Tanner Roark who pitches. Before the Nats go off for their final West Coast road trip of the year, San Diego, and then it's off to play the very interesting Houston Astros midweek next week before they come home again from the Miami Marlins. So I'll be with you tomorrow. What do we run on the site today? It's Roark versus Nolasco tomorrow afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Keeler. At the stadium, 1 o'clock tomorrow. And if you're going, you get, I believe, a $15 concessions credit. So you can kind of have lunch on the Nationals. And yes, Seth, Howie Kendrick has been kind of a big pickup. And that's kind of cute. The magic number, Ricky points out, is magic. It's 32. See how long before they respond to that in the chat. It just seemingly is getting easier all the time. And the Angels winning streak was snapped too on that one because they'd won a bunch. They're now the second wild card behind the Yankees. So all good for that. Good for the Nats. Let's see, what did we run today? Ricky did the 3 storylines for the series. And Drew did a piece on how effective the bullpen has been since the trade. All good stuff. And so I won't be writing anything for tomorrow because I had the game duty there. But Ricky is going to do something on Curtis Granderson about whether or not the Nats should or should not trade for him. And I believe we have another piece on the Nats defense going up tomorrow. I believe that's what we have going up for you tomorrow before the game. So look out for that. Let's see. Anything else exciting going on? Trey Turner took batting practice today. Don't know if you saw that. That's a good sign. Jason Worth was out in the outfield shagging fly balls. No, the Nats don't need Stanton. That's a lot of money to pick up. There's some confusion. If you look at Stanton's baseball reference page, it doesn't show an opt-out after the 2020 season. It's a straight contract for the next, I believe he's 2028 or 2029. But MLB Network says he has an opt-out after 2020. You'd also have to give up a lot of prospects. And I'm not real convinced that Derek Jeter is going to trade the face of the franchise. They have 2 choices. They can use him to rebuild, which is the other reason why I don't think the Nats should pick him up. Or they could use him, or they could trade the others to build around him. I don't think the Angels' winning streak was 500 in 6 games. So that's all right. It was 6 games. So yeah, 6-game winning streak for the Angels. So no, I don't think that I as much as Stanton would be impressive any place he went, I think the only reason why you do that is if Harper has told you that he's not coming back after, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's still a very good chance that Bryce Harper stays. And you have the other outfield pieces there. Yeah, Larry, nice to see you. You're new to me on the chat. Howie Kendrick, I sure like him a lot. Yeah, me too. Where's my number 2? Where's the number 4? Rizzo did well trading for him. I think he did. That was just one of those they do their homework. When they finally made a deal, they did their homework. I mean, they've took some flyers on some pitchers in the minor leagues this year, but when push came to shove, the 3 players that they made that they traded for, the 4 players they traded for, were well researched and they fit very well, and that's what this is all about. The learners were good to go over the competitive balance tax. I mean, that was very important to do so, to take on that extra payroll, and it's worked. And so there's a lot less worry now about what this team can do in October. Look, you don't know how good. If the Dodgers overpower you, the Dodgers overpower you. But I think they can give the Dodgers a series. So, hopefully they got Harper back sooner than later. You're about to get Trey Turner back sooner than later. I think Worth is coming back sooner or later. And you just never know. So, Taylor looks good. His defense is good. Hopefully Goodwin isn't hurt too long. So, no, I think the way the Nats are constructed now, they have as good of a chance now to advance as they probably have in a couple years. This is a really solidly built team. So, all good things to worry about. Seth says, Ron, when healthy, we're better than the Dodgers. Shoot, we're better than the Dodgers hurt. I'm not quite sure if I'd go with that. The Dodgers are the first team to win 82 games before the 10th of August since 1944. That's a pretty good spell. That was at least a couple weeks before I was born. Actually, it was about 8 years before my mother was born. So, but they are a very good team. I think that they can be competitive with them in a 7-game series. You don't know. How many games would 506 be? Well, 2 would be 320 something. So about 4. How many home runs do you think Stanton will get? I know it's nothing to do with that. We don't necessarily have to talk about the Nationals all the time, Larry, on this. It's different from the website where we really have to do all Nats all the time. I think he could do 60. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. My goodness, he's doing it out of the 2-hole. See if Ricky responds to that. Judo says 56. Certainly because of McGuire back in 98 in the steroid era, there's probably a good chance, someone brought this up on Twitter over the weekend, that Stanton could be the first one to do it clean since Roger Maris in 61. Ricky says 58. He'll get the Bonds treatment eventually, Larry. And Seth says, of course, it doesn't matter. When it comes to October, it's a new season. Everyone's record is 0-0. And you're right. I think the seedings are there. I like the Nats' chances to advance past the survivor of the National League Central. And who knows? Whoever gets that wild card between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks is going to know the Dodgers pretty well. In a best-of-5 series, as Seth says, baseball is a weird game. You never know what's going to happen. And so you just never know. All right, I'll let this chat go for a couple minutes. So as we said, 2 articles tomorrow, one on the defense and one on Curtis Granderson. And I don't think Ricky can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's sold on Granderson being a possibility for a trade, especially because they would really add to the payroll tax, even though the Nats wouldn't have to pay that much for him. Seth, we do this pretty much after every game. We were actually did both ends of the doubleheader on Sunday because of the Harper news. So, yes, we'll do playoff. We do this after that. Ricky says, I like Granderson, but don't think the Mets will send him to D.C. Problem with Granderson, and I'm sure Ricky touched on this in the piece, is that $15 million counts against the payroll tax. Even though that the Nats wouldn't have to pay him all that much money, it goes all to that, and they'd have to pay accordingly. Larry says, I'm really happy for Gio this season. Will he be with the team in 2018? Yes, he will, as a vesting option, and I'm sure Ricky knows how many more innings it will take to set that, and it'll be for $12 million. I don't see him not breaking that, because he's gone at, he's made 24 consecutive starts of 6 innings. He'll be back. 180 inning vesting option. So if he makes 30 starts at this rate, Larry, he'll vest that option. Wow. All right. So I think with that, we will call this one to a close as they're trading trivia in there. So tomorrow I'll be with you after the game, hopefully around 4 o'clock, and hopefully with the series sweep. And then Ricky and Drew will take you through the weekend for the Padres. So don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe on YouTube. Seth, we do this after every game. We do interviews, and sometimes we just do special ones for special events. So I think I did the 150th one, I believe it was Saturday, since we started this back in December. So follow us on give us a like on Facebook. Good night, Judo. At District on Deck, on Twitter at District on Deck, and of course the website itself, districtondeck.com, where we post 2 pieces a day at least in breaking news when it warrants. And so for Ricky Keeler, who was nice enough to join us tonight in the chat, and for the rest of the staff at District on Deck, Drew's having a good time someplace else. I'm Ron Juckett, and we'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon.